Hello everyone, welcome to Mad for French Cars. As you can see, I'm back in my Peugeot 508. The car is started now, and as you can see, I can shift in the gears. I can even drive it, to be fair. And the car drives absolutely fine. I'm not gonna run it for a full test here on a video now. All I can say is I have tested and the car drives like a dream. You can change the gears now. You can do all the things I was working so hard to achieve. So to fix this car, it took me absolute ages to do it. I learned a ton of things from fixing this 508. As you know, I am not familiar with semi-automatic gearboxes, actuators and all of that stuff. I am a guy who normally works on cars with a manual gearboxes, which is much more easier. However, I have managed to put this car together, and I would like to share some advice for people who is actually trying to replace the clutch on Peugeot 508 or Citroen C4 or other car with the same kind of semi-automatic gearbox. And I hope that my advice I'm gonna give today, it's gonna be helpful for you guys. And if you do find it helpful and useful, hit that subscribe button, like the video. I will be making a detailed videos on how to sort the issues out with semi-automatic gearboxes in the future, because now I feel much more confident with them. I kind of researched it and, you know, learned a lot of things about it. While fixing this car, I had to ask for some additional help, and I have asked a help of my friend, which has a YouTube channel called Cranky Conrods. He came around and helped me to test the gearbox, actuator, solenoids. He taught me a lot of stuff which I didn't know before, and thanks to him, this car is running back again, as he stepped in when I was about to give up, and he was like, you know what, don't give up, just keep going through all different things, just do this, do that, like keep trying and you will achieve it. And here we are. I did manage to achieve it, and I'm really glad with results. I'm really happy with results. The car is not all back together yet, as some front bumper TLC is required. Also, I have to pass it through MOT and other things to be, you know, back on the road. However, the main issue, the gearbox issue, is now fixed. So in today's video, we're just gonna go through a little things I have come across and what actually took a lot of time away from me fixing this car, which I hope to advise about so that you guys wouldn't have to repeat my mistakes. Right, my guys, so a lot of stuff here still to go back on the car. As you can see, I have left it off so I could make this little follow-up video, so I could actually show you actuator from underneath the car and talk about some stuff I have done on it. As you remember, in the previous video, I had a gearbox here, my clutches, everything here. I have replaced the clutch, I replaced this bit and everything, and put the car back together. And then I tried to program it, and it wouldn't let me program it, for my surprise. So I was really vexed. I was like, you know what, why is it not letting me program it? So I was thinking maybe the actuator is faulty. What happened next is I called up my friend from Cranky Conrods to come and help me to diagnose what was the issue. The guy's really not knowledgeable in semi-automatic gearboxes and electronics. He came down, he showed me how to test clutch, gearbox, actuator, solenoids. We done a lot of tests and stuff like that, but everything was looking fine. We have tested a gearbox, actuator, hydraulic fluid, and it looked like somebody has replaced it with a gearbox oil instead of hydraulic fluid. So that might have been part of the issue. So what I've done, I ordered then a 2 liters of Ravenol GHAF hydraulic fluid, which is having exactly same properties as original actuator fluid for this gearbox, but this one is much cheaper. You can order it directly from the supplier in Wales, and it only cost like, it cost me £27 with delivery for 2 liters of this fluid. I wanted to get 2 liters because I wanted to you know, kind of bleed the system and make sure it all has this fluid instead of whatever was in it, because I was not sure what was in it, to be fair. So at the moment the clutch actuator actually has this fluid in it. The only difference is the color is green and the original fluid is a bit yellowish, but nevertheless it does the job absolutely fine. Another thing what happened is when Cranky Conrods was here, we have tested everything. The car was keep coming up with one of the faults, which was P1755, which is clutch actuator position faulty. And we have decided, it was the Cranky Conrods idea, to actually plug this old thrust bearing slave cylinder and see what's gonna happen then. And for our surprise, when we plug the old one instead of a new one, what happened is the gears, if you put in a gear, it would stay in a gear. So then it was kind of pointing us to the direction of this sensor here, which is attached to the slave cylinder, this bit here, which measures the traveling of the actual thrust bearing. And I then, when Cranky Conrods have left, I've run some live parameter measurements, and what I came across was quite surprising. So the new bit, this is a sensor from the new bit, because I had to install the old bit back. The new bit actually was measuring only between 28 to 31 millimeter, where the old bit was measuring properly and measuring between 4 millimeter and 30 millimeter. So I had to take everything apart again, take a gearbox off again, and I had to replace this bit. As you can see, it just pulls out. When you remove the little clip here and the little screw here, what happens is you can replace this sensor. You can see I replaced the whole bit like this. So this is actually from the new bit I bought, which I showed you before in a previous video, and I had to use the old bit sensor and these things old and just attach it to the new thrust bearing I bought in order for it to actually work. So if you have replaced your clutch and you replaced new one of these and you're getting a fault P1755, then you might want to check this little bit here, and you might want to connect your old thrust bearing and have a look what's going to happen, because that's what actually cured my problem in a way. As once I installed the old one and put a car back together again, everything would program nicely, and now the car is nice and drivable. Right, so we are under the front of a car now, and as you can see here, in my actuator fluid reservoir, hydraulic fluid reservoir, I have a green color fluid because Revenol fluid, as I mentioned a second ago, is green. To depressurize the system manually, you can actually disconnect car's battery. Some of the fluid is gonna go back inside the reservoir. Another thing you can do, you can slowly undo this. It's a 14 millimeter spanner you're gonna need. You can undo slowly this bit here, and it's gonna release quite a bit of pressure if there is still any. And to flush your reservoir, you're gonna need to undo these 10 millimeter bolts to actually move this bit a little bit. And then I have done cleaning of a reservoir. I have done while the gearbox was off, and that was much more easier. Once it's in a car, it's quite difficult to actually get it done. To bleed the system from the old fluid, when everything was back connected and the reservoir was cleaned but filled with already Revenol fluid, I have disconnected this this bit here, hydraulic bit here, which goes into the, you know, like the thrust bearing bit, the hydraulic clutch slave cylinder. I disconnected that and I actuate the clutch. I opened the clutch with diag box, and it was giving me a pressure through here and spraying a fluid out, the old fluid, until the green fluid started to come out. Then I knew that the green fluid is in my actuator and it goes through the whole thing. So then I just connected everything back up. I done a lot of extra bleeding, and when I was kind of confident that everything is back to the way it should be, then I've done a gearbox programming and other steps, and now the car runs fine. Another thing to mention is I had to order a new stop-start battery because this car has a stop-start system, and what I come across is the battery which was here previously has been absolutely dead. It would not do the job. The voltage on it was wrong, and so I have ordered a new battery for it, which is also a good idea if you're experiencing semi-automatic gearbox problems, because the actuators, solenoids, are actually controlled by electric current. So you might want to check the battery as one of the first things before you carry on with any kind of fix on this kind of car. Right, my guys, so I hope you find this video interesting. It took me a long time to fix this car, and I will be making a future videos about similar cars with similar issues. This time it was more about fixing and learning at the same time. And yeah, so the top tips of this video is change your battery if the battery is dead, because these cars are really sensitive to the current and it can affect the clutch wear. And you know, replace your battery if you're experiencing problems, or test your battery before you carry on with any other work. Get some live diagnostics, Peugeot software only. Another thing, check your fluid level on the reservoir also. If it's dodgy fluid, if you don't know what fluid that is, my good idea to replace the fluid. And then also the top tip is, if you do replace the clutch on this car, make sure you check that little sensor on a hydraulic slave cylinder, because that was my issue, which took a lot of time off me. And now I would take a new one and take an old one and connect it before I do anything. And the best way to do it would be just take a new one while the car is still all in place, connect the Gearbox and just run the life parameter measurements and actuate it with hand. Press the thrust bearing with the fingers and see what kind of reading you get on your Gearbox. It's supposed to be between 4 and 30 millimeters. If it's like between 26 to 30, that sensor is not good for your car. So that's my top tip for you for today. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you shortly on the next video.